Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. Okay, we'll probably kick started a little earlier today because I have a few testimonies to share with you, and apart from that, I think we'll, we've got a few things to talk about regarding sayings of Yeshua and regarding sayings of Moses even. So I'm gonna start a little early and take you through the testimony section first and foremost. The Forever-Israel Siddur that has been updated to 6 May. So when you look for it, you want to look for description. You're not going to see published. Don't look for published date, because published date will be somewhere in the past. But you always look at the description section, and you will have a revised date over there. And the revised date should be the latest one, or the one before the latest one was 25 of April 2021. Now you should see a new date there, 6th of May 2021. So when you get your Siddur, there was an extra page that I put in there to assist you and help you, because there are certain ways that we read the Torah and the certain ways we don't read the Torah. And unfortunately, the herd reads the Torah the wrong way, and that's why they don't get anywhere in life. Whereas the select few who know how to read it correctly, they get, advance in life. And this is why it's very important to understand how to read it correctly. Now, of course, if we were in the old times, like you were in your Christian schools, you went to your church, and you went to, and then your pastor said to you, come to Sunday school and we'll teach you, we'll take you through a Bible study, because, they don't do Bible study in classes. Likewise, this Sunday school idea actually originated from the East, where students, when I say students, some children, 5 years old, would be sent to Torah classes. And in the Muslim side, Muslim culture, they go to a teacher, either a teacher that is familiar with the Arabic of the Holy Book in their section, and they would take them through the reading of that book, or how to read the verses and what some of those important verses mean. Same way, that idea originated with Judaism long ago. And Judaism, they took you through classes. They sent their little children to school. So when a child is born in those cultures, in this culture, what I have seen in the Western culture, people don't really care much about their children. The children are born and let's send them to nursery school, and they will educate you with their nursery education, which is a form of brainwashing that you put the child through for a good 16 years of their life. It's total brainwashing. Why do I say that? Because this education system is obsolete. It is totally obsolete. You get taught things that are not even relevant, and I would even go so far as to go to say untruths. You get untruths. So you get brainwashed at a very early age with things in your mind that, what happens, these kids come out of school at 16, if they're lucky, if they come out of school at 16, because some of them, they hate school. They don't want to go to school. And some of them come out and go on to college to get further brainwashed, then they go on to university to get further brainwashing. You never get taught, not a single time. Maybe there might be a teacher there in college, maybe in high school, in your case in America, who might actually give you some wisdom, some words of wisdom. But these books that they take you through, they don't have any wisdom. They just have so-called science and pseudoscience, and that is actually not bringing you in any fruition of your life. It's not bringing you into any successes, let's put it this way. It's not going to give you any successes. This is why it's a system, and it's rigged already from the beginning, and it's rigged to brainwash you. In a nutshell, I could tell you that would be the simplest explanation. However, I will say that it is good to learn to read and write. and add 2 plus 2 equals 4. All this is good stuff. This is some stuff that you need to know. But then they start teaching you evolution, then they start teaching you other things, and you get taken through a lot of subject matter which you're never going to use, which actually ends up becoming a hindrance in your life rather than a blessing. It's no longer a blessing, it's a hindrance. Because you imagine telling somebody every day in class a particular line of text, and that child, he becomes accustomed to that. It's like a mother saying to a child, you are cursed, you're never going to get anywhere. Or a mother just casually saying to her son, you're good for nothing. When a mother continues to repeat those words to a child, that child takes those words on in his mind, in his subconscious, and they get programmed into him. And he then has all sorts of failures in his life as a result of that childhood programming. And then the mother can happily say, see, I told you so. So my point is this, that is the programming, not because a mother made a prediction, because she programmed that child for failure. So therefore that child becomes a failure. So hence why the programming that you receive, it must be positive. It must be programming that you identify with as something that your brain can work with, and of course, use it for the greater good. And if it is the right kind of programming, my goodness, it will make you a great man. The right kind of programming. The wrong kind of programming will make you, if you're a man, you'll feel less of a man because you didn't achieve your goals in life. So anyhow, we'll come to that section, because this is very, very important section, that some of you are going to become parents, some of you are going to have children in the future, you're going to take your children to school, and so on and so forth. You need to be aware of that what programming you give in your homes is what makes that child. And this is something that I really like about the Jewish, the Muslim cultures, is that, and maybe even the Christian culture to some extent, although Christians don't really care too much these days about it, but not in the West anyway, maybe in the East they do, is that they treat their children at home with the right kind of education. There's usually an education in the house, like what the mother and father's perceptions are of the world and of life and of whatever faith they follow. They have a perception, and they want their son and daughter to follow that perception. So they'll either appoint a teacher, or they'll either become the teacher themselves, and they will teach that child. So, for instance, when you continue to teach that child, and you continue to tell that child that, hey, you're going to be a great person, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be an engineer. When you continue to pound that into that child absorbs that information, that positive information, and then the child develops that and says, you know what, I like to be an engineer, or I like to be a pilot, or yes, I like to be a doctor. So those things are grained in by your parents, because your parents have that vision that, I like to see my son, such and such position and such place. Now, whatever that place is, in my culture where I come from, the East, well, they want to make you either a doctor or an engineer. That's the two things they want to make you. And guess what I became? Engineer. So, right? So my point is this, that I'm actually a doctor as well. So doctor, engineer, both. So the point is that this is because it's ingrained in the culture. It's a culture I came from. It's a culture, how my parents thought and what they wanted me to be, and then what I followed from there on. In fact, that's not a bad thing. But if you were brought up in the projects in America, you know that what kind of mentality your parents had. They didn't see the white folks as good people. They saw the whites as oppressive. And so they taught you oppression. They said to you, the white man is no good. You don't trust the white man. And what did you do as you grew up? If you were a black person in America, you grew up with a hatred in your mind, a hate-filled mind about the white people. And what you brought into your life, you created exactly that, what you were taught. Because when you taught yourself that white man is no good and white means oppression, then what happened next? A white policeman turns up. You're driving somewhere, a white policeman turns up and he beats the heck out of you, and either you're dead or you're injured. Then that vicious cycle starts. The white man is no good, because a vicious cycle started from your parents, not from you. It started from your parents with that ideology, and that ideology led to your demise. So your parents were the one who made that demise, and the white man that just happens to be your own creation, your parents' creation, who happens to do your task for you. Basically, you brought him into your life to do that, and now you got a whole community, 10,000 of you over there, making a protest, Black Lives Matter and this, that and the other baloney, right? And what happens? You now compound the problem. You compound it because you now go and say that all the white people are bad, or majority of them are bad, or the police is all bad. And you say that and you chant those slogans, and then what happens? You're only compounding the problem. You're only making it worse. You're only making it real when it's not real. However, when some of you who are the wise ones, who sit in their home and say, you know what, we see the problem. The problem is that we are focused too much on the white people being bad. Why not focus on them being good for a change? Why not we see that we have peace, we have love, we have joy? And some of your parents who were a little bit wiser, maybe they're from a Christian background mostly, they go to church, they sit and pray for good. They pray for kindness, they pray for peace, they pray for love, they pray for joy. They don't go and join these marches. They say, you know what, no, the marches don't have nothing for us. We're just going to sit here, we're going to pray before God, and God is going to give us deliverance. So at least, there were folks within the population that, said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that march and, break other people's cars and burn their houses and stuff like that to bring attention of the media and to compound the whole issue and to bring more problems onto ourselves. So they just sit, quietly, they pray and they, ask God for help. And you find out that their children actually end up being better off than the ones who are marching on the streets. So you see, my point is this, that you ask yourself, well, when did I create this? When you have troubles in your life, when a policeman comes up and beats you, you say, when did I create this? And why would I create for myself a policeman beating me? Well, if you look back, your parents probably created it, and you brought it into your life by manifesting it because you believed it. And your very essence, your very belief brought that white man into your life who beat the heck out of you, and then you're like, my goodness, I'm a victim. Now you became a victim. And when you became a victim, you continue to spew that hatred, and I've seen that hatred, by the way, I've seen it firsthand, and I see that hatred not only against the police, I see it against other people as well. So that hatred comes in different forms, and when that hatred comes in different forms, it affects your life differently. It doesn't necessarily have to be against black people. It could be against the Mexican people. Some people hate the Mexicans, Oh, don't want them to come into our country. Don't want them here. And I say, bring the Mexicans here. I say, bring more plumbers, bring more electricians, bring more carpenters. You know why? Because they will charge you reasonable money. Hard-working people, they charge you reasonable money. You have a job to do. You got a broken toilet. You got a broken roof. And a Mexican guy who's a hard-working man, he will come and he say, you know what, I'll charge you $300 and I will do that job for you. Whilst a local man says, I'll charge you $2,000. Who would you want, a Mexican or a local man with a paper that says, he's got an insurance and he's got a degree from the local college? See, this is the difference of perception. And perception is everything in life. So, the first thing I encourage you to do is drop your hatred. When you drop your hatred against white, against, yellow, Chinese, and against Mexicans, that's where your life will begin. And that's what Torah commands us as well, by the way, because some of you out there who think you're very clever, unfortunately, your cleverness has got you nowhere in life. Whereas if you were, didn't think yourself so clever and you just followed basic principles of Torah, you would be much more successful in life. And if you're not, it's probably because you haven't applied the principles. And Torah principles don't say that they are for the Jews only. God says these are my laws. These are my statutes and judgments. So if it's God's laws, then they apply to everybody. They're for everybody. Everybody who wants them can have them. And those that don't want them, they don't have them. So it's entirely that. I was reading the story, little news headline a couple of days back, and I believe the word they used was neon, N-E-O-N, neon city. Now the Saudi prince, they call him MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. He basically said that he likes to take this desert place, some part of Saudi Arabia, and he's going to convert it into the neon city. Now this neon city is going to be a fantastic, modern looking, beautiful buildings, almost futuristic buildings, and is going to create an oasis type of place where he is going to invest $500 billion money to bring in foreign investment. Foreign people are going to go there and invest in properties, maybe businesses, maybe other things, etc. He has a vision. This man has a vision, and it's a great vision. And so my point, why am I bringing you to this? You see, the Muslim culture is rife with Torah. Muslim culture is probably, I'll tell you, 90% Torah, or at least 99% Torah is in the Muslim culture, and it's very hardcore Torah. It's not your, it's not your softy approach. It's the hard approach. So the Torah in their lives, in those countries where they have taken Torah as a real hard, core factor. Because if you ever picked up the Quran and read it, sincerely, if you just read it just as a book, you will find out that it is ingrained with Torah truths, ingrained with it. And I did a search yesterday. I did a little search yesterday on the Quran, the Muslim holy book, and I did a search on the Bible, and I did a search on some of the other books. And I found this interesting truth. I found that the name Moses is illustrated in the Quran 200 times. And it is in the Bible as well. This is kind of interesting, because if you ever spend your time not chasing protests and not chasing hatred of Mexicans, then you might actually get time to do something useful. So in the Bible, right, and I'm talking about the King James Bible, the name Moses is mentioned the most. 784 times is mentioned in the King James version of the Bible. And if we take the name Jesus, and the Jesus is the next name that is mentioned the most in the New Testament, and I'm talking about the New Testament only. I'm not talking about because Jesus is mentioned in the what's called the Old Testament Torah, but that's Jesus. That's Yehoshua's son of Nun. That's a different Jesus. So we don't want to mix the two together. But in the New Testament alone, the name Jesus is mentioned 942 times, the most mentioned in what Christians call their holy books. We'll come to those 2 points, because they are very important points to look at. Because rather than me searching for, well, who's marching where and how many Mexicans are coming into this country, why should I waste time with such things? I don't have time for such things. But rather than do that and follow hatred, I'd rather follow something constructive and learn something by looking at the holy books and seeing, what do they teach us? What do they tell us? Where can we get our benefit and blessings from? And so, I'd say, Baruch Hashem, I learned, quite a bit, by just doing a simple search. I learned a lot in that. And as I said, we'll come to that. How do we use it now? How do we use that simple search? And I'll come back to that in the next part. But before I do, I wanted to give you a little testimony of my students. And also, there was another student that said he was going to come online. I told him that we start about 10 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm expecting him in at about 10. And he wants to give his testimony. But I'll give you a brief on that. He may give you the bit more than that. Is that he actually passed his medical test in flying colors, Baruch Hashem. And he's now, working his job. in the Arab state over there, and he's a very happy man. And Baruch Hashem for that. So he will probably be coming into the room later today. And if he makes it, then he can, tell you how it all happened. Now, the other testimony I wanted to give you was of a student that wrote to me and said to me that she had headaches and she had pains and things going on in her life, probably as a result of maybe injuries that she acquired a long time ago, 15-20 years ago. And she told me that she's taking about 800 milligrams of painkillers a day to abate that pain in her head. Anyway, the summarization of that problem was this, that I told her, I said, look, the problem is not so much the injury. The injury happened 15 years ago, etc. or more. It's not the injury that's causing you the problem. It's the toxicity in your body that's causing you the problem. And the toxicity, because taking those meds, those various psychotropic drugs, what they do is they create a toxicity in your body over time, and then they result in different kinds of ailments, like what we in the doctor's world they call it side effects. There's like a certain side effect, like you may get headaches, you may get vertigo, you may get other problems appearing. So in her case, she was getting these headaches, and she said it was always on the left side of her head. So I told her that the problem stems from her liver. The problem is not the head. The head is only the symptom. The problem is the organ. The problematic organ is liver, because the liver is trying to deal with toxic drugs and toxic medicine. Let's put it mildly, toxic medicine. And the toxic medicine is what's causing these headaches to arise. Anyhow, I advised her that what she needed to do was to get something called nanosoma. I think we spoke about it. Let me type the name of it. Nanosoma. Those of you who are hearing this, or you're going to hear this later today or after today, and you don't know what the heck is nanosoma. Nanosoma, Nanosoma, basically it's like a supplement. It's a spray that is manufactured by an Indian doctor by the name of Dr. Raghavan. Now, Dr. Raghavan not only made this, he made some other things as well. Nanosoma seems to, according to his writings, he has a website, you can Google it, and according to his writings, it's supposed to be a wonder supplement. It'll take care of a lot of your problems. You take five of these sprays under your tongue every day. The bottle costs about $57, and it'll take care of a lot of your issues. At least these are the alleged claims, that it can take care of pains, it can take care of old problems, and there's no label against it. It doesn't say this is for such and such. It just says that it will take care of a lot of ill health issues. Anyhow, I advise her to take this and try it for her ill health. And so she, by mistake, instead of ordering nanosoma, she ordered another one. I think that was called Nano-Ojas. Yeah, Nano-Ojas. That's Nano-Ojas. Nano-Ojas. Now that's another form of nanosoma. Now I didn't know at the time that Nano-Ojas is designed by the same Dr. Raghavan. So when I Googled, it's like, oops, this is the same doctor, Dr. Raghavan. He makes Nano-Ojas. Now, Nano-Ojas is sold as a supplement that deals with skin issues. Like if you have really bad skin or problems, other problems as well, then you take that Nano-Ojas, you put it on your skin like a spray, and it will deal with that. So she bought that by mistake. And when she bought that by mistake, she took it and it removed her headache. The headache didn't come on. So she wrote back to me saying to me that, Rabbi, I took this Nano-Ojas by mistake. I thought it was nanosoma, but it actually helped me. So I said, wonderful, that's great, and that's okay as well, no problem. So my point is that she reported good effects, good health, and of course she's going to continue to take it, but she needs to, over time, she needs to wean herself off the toxic medicine that she has to take. And that, if she keeps her, as they say in the British culture, keep your fingers crossed and touch wood. Not that you have to touch wood, but they say that touch wood is like a British thing. Touch wood, everything will be okay. So, having said that, that was her testimony, and Baruch Hashem, I'm happy for her that she is benefiting from that Nano OJS supplement. Now, the other thing was that I wanted to give you an exact testimony and an exact way that this person followed, so you may benefit from it. I have a student, and this student is one of my good students like you, and he's been with me for a while. I don't know how many years now. Only he could tell you how many years. But he wrote to me, and he was very happy, and he told me that he made his six-figure salary. He just been promoted, and he got a six-figure salary for $100,000. Now, by the way, this student started from India. He started from a city called Bangalore, and this is a man that sent me a tithe of $50 from India. Think about that. Think about his faithfulness. This man was sending me a tithe from India for $50. And I have people in America that are making more money than that, and they don't send $1 in for tithe to this day, right? So, shame on you for your unfaithfulness, and blessings to him for his faithfulness. He makes a $6 figure, and he wrote to me. He wrote to me, he said to me, Rabbi, I want to report to you that what I did, and my manager has just given me a raise. By the way, he got a raise for, I think, $13,000 or thereabouts, and he is now on a $100,000 salary starting from the end of this month in May. Now, he was very happy. Now, he's very happy because this man started with no job. Okay, he wrote to me many years ago. He wrote to me. I was in England. He said to me, Rabbi, I'm from a Christian background. I want to do well, but I can't even find a job. Got dropped. Okay, let's start again. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I think I got dropped. Everybody can hear me still? Great. Okay, so this man started his life with no job. He was an IT graduate. He had missed 8 months or so of his time, and he had no experience, and he couldn't find a job in a city like Bangalore, where there's a huge service sector. British companies, American companies, Canadian companies, Australian companies. He couldn't find a job, so he wrote to me and asked me to pray for him so that he may get a job. And said, okay, no problems. I will definitely do that, and you will get your job. So he got his job. After I prayed for him, he got his job back in India, and then he sent his tithes in. He used to send $50 tithes, and now I'm telling you the facts on the ground. So after that, this man continued to get blessed. He stayed with me. He started to study the Torah, and then one day I said to him, you're gonna go abroad, and you're gonna go abroad, and you're gonna be blessed tremendously for your faithfulness. And this man went abroad. He got married to a woman in New York. He came to New York, and now he's settled in New York, and he also has a son recently. His wife gave birth to a beautiful boy. Very happy man with his happy family. And Baruch Hashem. So this is what he told me. I said to him that, could you, for my purpose to help other people, let me know exactly what you did in order to get your pay rise, or at least to make your grade. And he told me, he said what he basically did, he said the recordings I gave him, I gave him some recordings like meditations. He's been following them religiously. He's been religiously following them, and he said what he did, he made a habit. You see, habits are very important, and discipline is very important. Habits and discipline, they go hand in hand. It's like you may have a discipline to get up in the morning and go to the bathroom. It's kind of a discipline, right? Whereas some people, they get up in the morning and they want to have a cup of coffee. You see, that is their discipline. They must have a cup of coffee before they go to the bathroom or do something else. It's part of their, habits. Let's call it a habit. That's their habit. So, some habits are good and some habits are bad. So, for instance, if you got up every morning and had some sweets, that might be a bad habit, because that, will affect your teeth. So it's not a good habit. Whereas, if you got up every morning and you did some exercise, 5 minutes of exercise, that's a good habit. It's a good discipline. So like that, this man said, what, I decided that I'm going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day. And he said, I was getting up at 3 o'clock every morning, every day. I made a habit, made a discipline effort, that 3 o'clock is my up time. So he said 3:30, I get up in the morning at 3:30 to 4 a.m. Every day I decided to do that and write my script down. And he said, I wrote a script down, and this is what he wrote down. He said, I wrote down 2 months back, I have definitely received a very good employee performance review by my company, and my salary has been raised to 6-figure for certain. Now I'll repeat that again. I have definitely received a very good employee performance review by my company, and my salary has been raised to 6-figure for certain. He said, I recorded it in an audio. He said, I listened to that audio 3 times a day. And then he said, I can't say that I didn't listen to your other recording. I sent him a Hakohin Gadolim recording, a meditation. He said, I can't say that didn't help me. To be honest, that may have a part to play as well. So he said that does have a part to play, and I listened to that sound as well. And he said, I had my review. Now this email is a few days old, by the way. He said he had his review, and his manager told him that he's been given a $13,000 pay rise. So Baruch Hashem for that. So my question to you, those of you who are probably on the verge of success, and those of you who are already becoming successful in your life, how you can utilize the affirmations. And we will speak about that, methods. We will speak about the methods, because I think it's important. This is why I started the class earlier today rather than later, because then I can cram more stuff into the class to help you. So how do you help yourself? The very easy thing to do, as I said to you before, I may have said this before as well, is you take your top 3 or 4 affirmations, whatever those affirmations are. You take your top 4 affirmations, and what you do with them, you record them into an audio. And once you recorded them into an audio, you can listen to them 3 times a day, okay, religiously, with discipline. And that's all you need to do, and you're good to go, right? Because you already decided what you want, and you started to listen to them, and away you go. But now you can do something more. If you want to now add that oomph, into your recording, then you can do something extra. You can download Audacity, or maybe you already have an audio package, you know how to use it. Audacity is a free audio package that you can download online. Now with Audacity, what you can do, you can add a second track. And in the second track, you add your favorite music, whatever that favorite music is. So you do one track, your 4 affirmations, and you do the second track, your favorite music, whether that's Michael Jackson, whether that's what's the other guy? I kind of like his song as well. I'm trying to think of the song he sang. I'm gonna maybe have to look it up somewhere. Let me just give me a moment. MC Hammer, yeah, MC Hammer. So MC Hammer is really good as well. So it may be MC Hammer. I like MC Hammer. He has a good song. So you may want to put MC Hammer or Michael Jackson or some other music that you really like, and that music's going to be about 3 minutes to 4 minutes long, possibly 5 minutes. So what you do is, your first track, you're going to copy it multiple times, and you're going to copy, if your track is only 30 seconds long, or maybe 40 seconds long, because it won't be more than that, by the way. If you only have 4 affirmations, your track will not be more than 30 seconds long. I could guarantee you that, because that's how long it takes to speak 4 affirmations. In fact, I could probably speak about 10 affirmations in 30 seconds, but let's just say 30 seconds long. You're going to copy that 30-second track up to the length of that music of your second track. As some of you are music buffs, you probably know how to use music packages. Toda for that, Eddie. So I think Eddie just gave a link. I'm not. Is that a link for Audacity? MC Hammer. Okay, yeah, Toda. Yeah, Eddie just gave you the link to MC Hammer. You can listen to it in after this class. So you can download this. There is a free app. By the way, there is an app called. I have it here. I have a paid version, but the free version is equally good. It's called 4K Video Downloader. Okay, 4K, 4 as in number 4, K Video Downloader. You can download that app, and that allows you to download videos as audios or as MP4 files direct from YouTube. Very easy to use. You just copy and paste it in there, and you're good to go. So the video downloader is free. You don't need to pay for it. If you like to pay, if you're like me, I pay for stuff only because I kind of might use a bit more functionality. And you don't need to, because you're only going to download simple videos. So no problem. They offer it to you free. You take it and you use it. So you download the video as an audio file. Don't download it as an MP4 unless you want to listen to it as an MP4 separately. If you want to watch the music and see the man dancing on the screen, then that's different. But if you want to plug it into Audacity, then you need to download it as an audio file. It has an option in there to download as audio or video. So when you download it as audio, you put it on the second track. You put your affirmation on the first track and copy your affirmation, copy paste, till it's long enough to cover that music. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to take the word the amplify. There's an option in Audacity under Effect. It's called Amplify, and in Amplify, what you want to do is you want to select all of your track, the track that you're working on, your main track, your main first track, which is your affirmations, and you want to do a -5. And I like the number -5 because 5 books of the Torah. And you want to reduce the volume down by -5. Now your audio track is going to be +5, of course. It's at the full speed, full audio, full voice. Whereas your own affirmation now becomes at a slightly lower voice. And that's okay. Just leave it at that. And Eddie has kindly put the links for 4K download. Is www.4kdownload.com and www.audacityteam.org. Now you can Google these and they'll come up if you have a hard time finding the links. So once you've done that, you compile you save your MP3 file in Audacity as a .mp3 file. And save it as and don't save it as a big file, because there is an option in Audacity in which when you go to save, it gives you do an export as MP3 option, and within that there's an option that says variable 45 to 85 kilobits per second, says smaller files in brackets. So you make smaller file, it's quicker and it takes a lot less time. And it's also short, it's also compressed file. Once you got this little small file, you can copy it straight onto your telephone device, whatever it is, Apple, Android, doesn't matter. For me it takes 3 seconds to copy it from my laptop to my to my Android phone, because I just connect the USB key onto the laptop and it becomes like a hard drive, and I can copy it in there. So you can do the similar, copy it in there. Same with the sound, same with the files I'm giving you, same with the meditation files I give you. You have to do exactly the same, is copy those into your phone. And once you copy them into your phone, your job is to listen to them 3 times a day. Okay, that's the idea of your affirmations. Whatever affirmations you have, you want to become a millionaire, you listen to it 3 times a day religiously, and you will become a millionaire. That's a guarantee from me that this will happen, because you are now reprogramming your brain and removing all the rubbish, all the garbage that was put in there when you were a child growing up to 16. You see, there's differences of how you grew up in each family. Each family has a story. How Eddie grew up versus how Rabbi Kefa grew up, versus how I grew up, we all have different stories. We all grew up differently. My mother may have said something different to me, Rabbi Kefa's mother may have said something different to him, and Eddie's mom, Italian background, she probably said something different to him. Whatever background we come from, that's the teachings we take. And those are the teachings that are ingrained in our head, and we are kind of developing with. And whatever those things are, good or bad, is what we become. So the idea of the Torah is to make you, streamline you, to make you good, to make you blessing, to make you a blessing to others, a benefit to others. That's the idea of the Torah. Now, earlier I gave you a little testimony of the most names in the Bible, and you can search for it and you can look for it. Now, I'm also going to say this, that the Parsha Bechuchtai, is in the book of Leviticus, chapters 26, verses 3, and it says this one word sums the whole Parsha. Really, it does. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them. Basically, statutes, remember I told you what they were? A hukh. If you do the hukh, I give you a task. It's a task basically. If you do the task, you already have the world before you, if you do the task. And if you don't do the task, the world will run away from you. It all depends on your own mindset, what you want to do. So coming back to the lesson, this is an Eastern saying, by the way. The Eastern saying is this: fruit only ever grows on a branch that is bowed. Okay, I'll say that again. Fruit only grows on a branch that is bowed. That's very important to understand that. And what does that mean? In a wider context, a student can only prosper who obeys his teacher. That means you have to bow down to your teacher. Not literally bow down, but at least bow to his teachings. So when a student says to his teacher that he knows more, then that is the road to disaster and destruction and to his end. Now, you remember, the Torah gives us many stories. And one of the stories the Torah tells us that the Israelites, the children of Israel, they were whining and complaining against Moses and Aaron. These were their teachers, by the way. If you remember and you read the story, and I'm pretty sure you've read it more than once, that you will find out that none of those people made it in the land except the two that revered Moses and Aaron. And they were, number one, Joshua. Number two, a convert out of the way by the name of Caleb. These were the two people that were close students of these two men, and they were the ones who entered the promised land. Now, the other way to look at it, the other spiritual way to look at it, is if you listen to your teacher and you do as your teacher tells you, then you will enter the promised land. Okay? If you don't, then of course the road is, as Jesus said, Yeshua said, wide is the gate and many follow through it. Many go through it. Narrow is the road and few find it. This is actually talking about the Torah law, the perfect law. Very few people in this world today, I know personally, I meet a lot of people in my life, and I travel a lot, as you know, and I go through a lot of airports, and I meet a lot of different cultures, and I know very few people who even heard about the perfect law, let alone practice it. Practice is miles away. They haven't even heard about it. So you are the lucky few, that if you are here today, or if you have been here with me for a number of years, you are the select few that have been appointed and chosen, because Jesus also said, many are called, but few are chosen. That's why I said last week, very few of you are going to stick to your teacher, and very few of you are going to make successful men and women. Why? Because majority of you just fall away. You'll be here for 2 weeks, and then the third week you'll find some beautiful looking woman, and she entraps you in her love, and before you know it, you no longer attend classes, and you're gone, somewhere far away. And then, 6 weeks later, I use 6 weeks as a metaphor, 6 weeks later, your life is destroyed, you lost your house, you lost your car, and you don't know what the heck's going on in your life, because you walked away from the perfect law and the person who taught you the perfect law, because you didn't care about it. So my advice is to think carefully about your life. Benny, I think you're in the room. Do you want to give your testimony, and shall I give you the mic? This is for you, Benny. Okay, so this is my point. My point is this, that in life, it doesn't stop with a paycheck. Don't think that the life stops with a paycheck. It's beyond that, because you're going to come through a lot of issues, problems, areas in your life, difficulties, challenges. I call them challenges. You're going to face a lot of challenging times in your life. If you're a married man, or if you just got married, you're going to have a wife, you're going to have to buy a home, or if you already have a home, to have children, to take those children ahead. Many challenges will await you, and each one of those challenges, you will need a wise guide, a wise teacher to help you. This is where you will learn the most. Those that stay and those that are disciplined are the best, make the best students and get the best outcomes. Every one of you can be successful, but only those will succeed, those that are disciplined. This is why you see this in every sphere of life. You see it in hospitals, in education institutions, with doctors, with nurses, with teachers, with sports people. Very few people come up and make champions. Very few people, by the way, make champions. Majority of the people are just run-of-the-mill stuff. Run-of-the-mill stuff. And this is very important. When I was teaching Taekwondo years ago, this is going back about maybe 10-15 years, I was teaching Taekwondo in England, and I said this to myself. I said this to my students. I said, I make champions over here. If you want to be a champion, you can become my student. If you want to be just run-of-the-mill, go find somebody else. So I had students that came to my class, young men, like 8 years old and 10 years old, and I made champions out of them. Yep, they became champions. They became national champions in Taekwondo, because I was that kind of teacher in that discipline. And those people were ferocious fighters. They were awesome. And those people grew up, and they see me now. I go to England, I meet them, they're grown-up men, and they still meet me and respect me. And they remember what I said to them, because I taught them two things. I taught them discipline. I taught them perseverance. Discipline and perseverance are those two things I taught them that you must follow, and you will see that you'll make that champion. See, this is why I say motivation. You might get motivated for 5 minutes and you're all gung-ho about it, but then comes the next day, you come out of bed and you're like, I just don't feel like it today, and you don't do nothing. This is called lack of motivation. Motivation is like you had a lentil soup or you had a chicken soup, and today you're all motivated to go out and do something, and comes tomorrow, it's not so sunshine, it's raining, and England's always raining, and what happens? You get depressed. Say, oh no, I don't feel like doing anything today. And that's the end of your motivation. Discipline. Come sunshine, come rain, come chicken soup, come lentil, come roast, you are there. You don't care about the what if. You're always there. That's discipline. And discipline has to be learned. Discipline. This is why in the military, I remember I was in the British reserves. I was in the army in the reserves, and I was running up this hill. The first day I went, and they took us for a 3-mile run, and we had to run from a certain point to a certain other point. And I was running, and I wasn't used to it. Didn't know how to control my breathing. I wasn't used to it. I started to run, and wearing the boots and the uniform and everything, and all of us running, and the corporal, he was a tough man. The corporal goes to me. I got a little bit breathless after a while, and he comes back to me and he gives me like a British slang swear word, and he says, "You effing get up and you go, otherwise I'm going to carry you there." This is how he said. He said, "You better make sure you prepare yourself next time." So I was like, that went into my head like my goodness, like an arrow. I was like, wow, if I stop over here, it's going to make me look like a fool. So, I kind of, begrudgingly carried on. But I decided after that I'm going to make myself fit. And I'm going to make myself ready for this task. Because you have to carry weight on your shoulders. They gave you an assault course with 70-pound weight on your back. And you had to pass that assault course. And by the way, I passed that afterwards. Because what I did, that day I went home. Those words that the corporal gave me, I took them to my heart, and I went home and I said, from today I'm going to change, I'm going to start training, I'm going to start discipline, and I'm going to do all the things that I need to do to be good. And I went and I started to go running every morning. And I asked the corporal, I said, Corporal, how can I make myself fit so I can do this assault course and other things that you asked me to do? And he said, get your poncho, get your backpack. He said, get your backpack and put sand on the side of your backpack, on your pockets. He said, put sandbags in there, small sandbags, like, in plastic, like Ziplocs. And he said, put it in there and you run with that with your boots on. He said, you go running with boots on every day and you will become good and you will never have problem after that. I said, okay. So I did. So I got my little, rucksack. I put sandbags on the side of that, and every morning I started to run with my boots on. I used to run in the town I lived. I used to run there every morning, religiously. No matter what, sunshine, rain, I don't care what, I used to run. I used to wear my boots, and people were looking at me, what the heck is that man running with his boots on? That was me. I decided that I was going to be fit, I was going to be a good soldier. And indeed, I became a good soldier. And I passed in flying colors. All the assault courses and everything I passed in flying colors. So that was discipline. And when I was teaching my students Taekwondo, that was discipline. And I brought champions. All of my students were champions. Same way I say to you that you are my students. You are students in the Torah, the practice of life. And some of you will become champions. In fact, I want to make all of you champions. But the question is that, do you do the discipline? And unfortunately, many of you don't do the discipline. That's sad fact. I don't want you to just hear this from one ear and go out the other. You all have the ability to succeed. But who is going to follow? Who is going to lead? So you have to decide. This is why I keep saying to you, there are certain principles to success. Tithing is one of them. Zadaqah is the other one. Then is the rote learning. What's the rote learning? You get up in the morning religiously. You have the, Forever-Israel Siddur in front of you. What's so difficult about reading 3, 4, 5 prayers? What's so difficult about that? I just don't understand it. When people don't do it, I don't understand why they don't do it. So those are your failures. The failures are the people who don't do what they are told. Because you know what happens to them? They go from one tree like a monkey, and I'm using this as a metaphor, not being rude to anybody. Like a monkey or like a frog, you jump from one leaf to the next, and then to the next, and then to the next. And the example is this. If you like a Christian, you heard this from Christians maybe. I have heard this from Christians. They go from one denomination to another, like a monkey, then another. Then another, and every denomination they go to, they have a fight with the pastor because the pastor is not right. So they fight and they go on to the next. Then it's the next. Then it's the next. And 20 years later, 20 years pass. Then they're still nowhere because they haven't changed. The problem is not the pastor. The problem is the man or the woman that keeps jumping denominations. That's the problem. And when you realize that the problem is within, when you realize that, you will not be jumping a jack any longer. You will be a stable jack. Yes, lost connection. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, the internet connection's having some problems.
Experiences. Okay, you're back, Akohin. Okay, I'll give you the mic back. Rukashin.
Yes. Today for that. Sorry, I've got a little network issues over here with looks like T-Mobile's having some problems today. Okay, so just to round up, and I don't want to take too much of your time since I've said most of what I wanted to say, but wanted to say this. that, look, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't want to be, I don't want to be deceptive, and I don't want to lead you on and make you think something when it's not. Look, those of you that stayed with me, that are with me today, that have been with me maybe for more than 10 years, if you've been faithful, there is no reason why you shouldn't succeed. There's absolutely no reason for that. And if you've been faithful and sincere with the Torah, now listen to this carefully. And I'm going to read something from Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, because I think his writings, they matter. They have important sayings in there that are important for us. He said this. He said, "Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This is Matthew 6:33. Then he went on to say, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And he also said the following, "And ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you." Now, my question to you is this. How many of you have asked? How many have seeked? And how many have found? When God places a teacher in front of you, and you don't ask and you don't seek and you don't find, because what you're going to find is that unless you ask, you don't find. Unless you knock, the door doesn't open. Now, I say this, and it comes from the bottom of my heart. And I don't like to say this often. I say it very, very infrequently. Is that you must comply with the Torah, the laws, the statutes, the judgments, the hooks, the judgments, the mishpatim. You must accept them in your life. If you do not accept them, and if you're only a rabbi by name, and some of you are rabbis by name, if you're a rabbi by name and you don't do what God has asked you to do, you do not deserve to be a rabbi, a teacher. Because this is why James, the just, who is known as the brother of Jesus, he said that it is not good for everybody to become teachers. Why? It's not because everybody can't be teachers, it's because everybody is not a good teacher. They don't follow the precepts themselves. How can they teach others? So unless you follow it yourself, you can't teach others. You must comply with the Torah laws. You must accept them as true for yourselves. If you do not, you will not benefit yourself or anybody else. Rabbi Kefa will tell you this more than me. He told me, gave me a little testimony about his brother. I didn't know Kevin was his brother. I don't know if Kevin is younger brother or older brother. But Rabbi Kefa told me a couple of days back that he, and Rabbi Kefa will tell you the rest of the story. Basically, summarize it. He was in trouble with the police. He, had a DUI and other things going on with his life. And in the end, they took him in, and I believe Rabbi Kefa pointed out to me that they were asking for $35,000 bail. Okay, and he can tell you the rest of the story, because I don't want to highlight it. It's his personal family story. If he likes, he can tell you more about it. The bottom line in that story, where I'm coming to, the more important part to me is this: that this man mocked the Torah, and this man mocked the God of Israel. The God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, he mocked them. That's the bottom line. That's why his life is a wreck today. So be careful of how you speak words against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Be very careful, because those words will come back to bite you in the buttocks, and they will destroy your life. As period. There's no other way to put it. They will destroy your life. And those teachers that have been appointed, and those people that have been appointed by God, and you mock them, you already signed your own destruction paper. You already said that you're going to be destroyed because of that. So don't do that. Don't do that, and you won't go there. And if you are a good student of mine, you will never go there. And you will go from blessing to blessing, benefit to benefit, strength to strength. Because you're a good student, because you're a sincere man and woman, because you have got it coming from God to be blessed. It's written in your name. And I just happen to be walking through, and you see me, and you adopt those teachings and you accept them. When Jesus was asked this question, by the people around him. The Pharisees came to him. They asked him this question. They said, what is the greatest commandment? And the Sadducees as well, of course. And he answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. He said, this is the greatest commandment. And he said, the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, the law, the Torah, and the prophets, the Navim, they hang on these two commandments. So I say to you, what does it mean to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind? You have to decide that for yourself today. What does that mean to you? Because to me, what that means, it may not mean the same thing to you. And so we're kind of, against each other, almost when we don't want to be against each other, but technically we are against each other, because what it means to me, it doesn't mean to you. Therefore you can't be my student. So you need to decide, and rather than waste your time over here, maybe you need another forum, maybe you need someplace else to go, and maybe you need to think your whole life in front of you, and you need to think, where do I want to be? What do I want to be in life? Where should I be in 2 years' time from today? When you go for a job interview, they always ask you this question. They say to you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because they're trying to assess your mindset. They're trying to see that before you even start the job, are you sincere enough to be with that company? Should they be even employing you? So when you give them the right answer, then they will say to you that yes, we have the job for you. Intrinsically, you're all good people. Intrinsically, there's not a single one amongst you that's evil. You're all good people, and you all deserve the best in your lives. And you should receive the best in your lives. But not because you did something right, and of course there is that as well, is because you have been given information and God brought you to a certain destination, and now it's up to you how you follow it through. It's entirely up to you. But if you don't, then you won't. It's simple as that. And so, I encourage you to do good. I encourage you to follow the statutes and the judgments of the commandments, and I encourage you to get the Siddur. If you haven't got it, get the Siddur, get the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls Bible for yourselves, and spend a little time every day. Just like you spend time watching that soap opera, that you really like, maybe, whatever soap opera that you're into. I don't know if you're into The Big Bang or something else. Whatever soap opera you're into, you like to watch that. You spend 30 minutes, 60 minutes of your day entertaining yourself. Take out 5 minutes of your time and entertain yourself with the Torah. Really, I implore you to do that, and then you will see the results for yourself in your life. So with that, I think I could say a lot more. I think I've said pretty enough, and I don't mean to demean anybody. I don't mean to say anything bad against anyone. I'm just encouraging you, just as my student from India has done so well. I'm so happy for him, and there are other students who are doing great. I'm so happy for them as well. I want you to do great, and I want you to benefit in your life. And you should not come back to me and say, Rabbi, I'm still struggling. After 2 years of study and doing this, I'm still struggling. And sure, you can come back to me and ask for advice. You can write to me. I'll give you the advice. If you're having problems, I'll definitely guide you what could be going wrong and how you could benefit yourself. Because we are dealing with years of negative programming. These years of negative programming come from parents, and they come from TV, media, and we need to undo those negative programmings. And they also come from school and college and universities. So once we undone those negative programmings, then you are ready to move forward. So a lot of the times you deal with that in your life, and that's what hinders you. The negative programming hinders you because it stops you from moving ahead. And whatever your parents told you, whatever your teacher told you, whatever your mom and dad said to you, they hinder you. until this teacher arrives, and they say that when the student is ready, the teacher comes, and then the teacher guides you. And there has not been a single man in my life or a woman that I have misguided to this day. And I will never do that. I will always guide you correctly, responsibly, and to give you the right information that's benefiting for you and beneficial for your life. So what I've taught you today, listen to it. I know we had a little bad transmission today a couple of times. Listen to it. Re-listen to it 3-4 times. Apply it. And then you will see the results in your life. You know, there's a 10 commandments in the Siddur. You know, I have the Siddur in front of me, and I open my Siddur to the 10 commandments. You know, every morning I come over here, I open my Siddur at the 10 commandments, and what I do, I scan them with my eyes, left to right. I know what they say. I know what the Hebrew says. I can read you the Hebrew, I can read you the English, I can even read you the Hindi and the Urdu language of that. I understand that in maybe 5 languages, Arabic as well. So, but the point is this, that it's not what they say, it's what they do is matters. So when I scan these right to left, what they do for me and what they will do for you, you will know by yourself when you do the application. When you do the application, you'll see the result. Because I have seen the results in my own life. And I can only tell you that they're short of great. And the Torah is very, very powerful. And I don't mean to demean the teachings of Yeshua of Nazareth. His teachings are very powerful. Because he picks up the teachings from the Torah as well. And he illustrates them at a different point of view. But they are very powerful. The question is, Moses is even more powerful if you know how to apply Moses. Are you applying Moses? Now, coming back to the Moses and Yeshua question earlier, I gave you a little tidbit about Moses' name being in the Torah the most. And Yeshua was the next person whose name was the most in the New Testament. Why is that? And why is that so important to me? Why is it that, what do I get out of that? Well, 2 things I get out of that. Moses' name, you know, his name in the Arabic is Musa. His name in Hebrew is Moshe. Okay? His name in the maybe ancient hieroglyph is also Musa. It's very important to note that. And Jesus' name in the Hebrew language, you know, his short name is Yeshua. And Jesus in the English language. Now, how do we apply that in our lives? You see, what do they mean to us? Moses, the one who draws water. Water in the Bible is a symbol for wealth, teachings, manna. You know, it's the bread of life. That's what Moses' name means to me. Now, Jesus, on the other hand, is the word Yeshua, is a word for salvation, or God's provided salvation. So those 2 are the ones that you need to meditate on. Let me teach you something else today. You take the term Moses, okay, and you take the term Yeshua, and you meditate on them, both of those names. Why? Because they're very powerful names. They connect to God. They connect to your blessings as well. Now, if you recite them 108 times on your beads, or 100 times, whichever beads you have, 100 or 108, you will see wonders in your life. And I'll leave you with that, and I'm going to pass on to Rabbi Kefa. Todah for listening, and continue to do what you're told, and you will benefit. Baruch Hashem, you're my students. You're going to make great, great men and women. And you're going to leave a great legacy behind for your children and children's children. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Stay strong and be happy. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.
Todah Rabbi for that, Akoin. I do receive that. Baruch Hashem, I do receive that abundance and that blessing that you put out to the family. Baruch Hashem, I do receive it. Todah for the lecture, HaKohen, insightful, beneficial, instructional, and definitely if you utilize that and follow the task, we cannot go wrong. There's no reason in life to where we cannot be successful. However we see success. There's no two ways around about it. Because once you connect to the proper teacher for you, because believe it or not, HaKohen is not the proper teacher for everybody. Let's just be real. All of you know that from the experiences that we've experienced just in this Pal Talk forum. You have people come and go like no man's business. And I understand that. And I respect that because I understand not everybody can handle the teachings of a Kohen. Not everybody, because again, HaKohen gave that analogy of the folks. Not everybody can handle the teachings of Moses. Look how many of the Israelites and the strangers that were among them saw the land flow with milk and honey. What is that telling you? A lot of folks couldn't handle the teachings of Moses. They couldn't handle it, and they just went hopping and skipping like the Easter bunny, the Easter rabbit, from one place to another place to where they found a place where they were comfortable. Now they may not have been happy there, but they were comfortable there because at the end they didn't receive the promise that there was promised to them. The reason why they exited Egypt was they wanted to go to the land flowing with milk and honey. But 99.89% of them never saw it. Didn't see it. What does that say? That says a lot to me. That is one of the greatest lessons that I've learned. One of the greatest lessons that I learned from the Torah in our experiences and what our ancestors went through is that they were promised something, but majority of them didn't see it. My goodness. That mark was missed. That was a big time mark that was missed. And what can we blame it on? Is that they didn't follow the teachings of Moses. They didn't follow through. I think that's very, very important for us to understand that. That is a lesson over and in our hearts and in our subconscious that'll keep us motivated so that we can learn from the experiences of our forefathers. These are not just great stories in the Bible. The Bible is not just a book of great stories. It's a history. And if any person, any human being worked their way, one of the major things that we can grasp from life is to learn from history. Not to repeat history, but to learn from it. How many of you want to see another Holocaust? You know what I mean, Heartbreaker? 999? Nobody wants to see another Holocaust. Nobody wants to see another Hiroshima where they're dropping bombs on everybody. Nobody wants to see that. So we should learn from our history. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about religion. You can put religion, you can throw religion out the door. Again, at the end of the day, were we born into a religious affiliation? No, we weren't. We were born as human beings. We were born as human beings. And I think it's very, very important for us to understand that, is that we were born as human beings to make choices for our own selves. It's going to be beneficial to us. It's going to be beneficial to us for our lives. Because what the choices I make may be different, just like what Cody said. Cody talked about what choices he made may be different from the choices that I made, maybe different from the choices that Eddie's made, maybe different from the choices that Oliver wants to make. But so be it, as long as we're making those choices that make us happy, give us peace, give us joy, and give us love at the end of the day. You cannot go wrong. That is the default setting for all humanity. Put religion to one side. Just put it to one side. Put it in your rearview mirror and understand and ask yourself. Sit down and spend time with yourself and ask yourself what makes you happy, what gives you peace, what gives you love, and what gives you joy, and pursue that. Because in doing that, then you have abundance of a life. Now, my lecture today is short, but it's sweet. Today is all about honoring the mothers, because everybody in this room, you came from a mother, right? Everybody, some of you in this room, you are mothers, right? How many of you in this room are mothers? And everybody in this room, you came from a mother. So I think it's important as they get ready to honor Mother's Day, coming up Sunday, which is tomorrow, I think it's important that we see and we examine the mothers from the Torah point of view. All of our great patriarchs, Moses, guess what? Moses had a mother. Aaron, guess what? Aaron had a mother. HaKohen, guess what? HaKohen has a mother. Baruch Hashem. You see, mothers are vital and very, very important. And we're going to open up something in our Torah that's going to help us understand that. Hakoni talked about the 10 Commandments. Do you all know the 10 statements, the 10 words? One of the 10 statements, one of the 10 words is what? I'm going to read from our Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the Hebrew very strong. Is this in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12? Give glory and honor to your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh your power is giving you. That's one of our 10 statements. Out of all the statements that could be given, or 10 words, or 10 commandments, so you may know them. Is this one is put to honor? I like the way the Hidden Truth Break Scroll says it. King James Version says just honor your mother, your father, and your mother. But the Hidden Truth Break Scrolls, the Abrahamic-Faith Bible says, give glory and honor to your father and to your mother. Baruch Hashem. And we all have a father and we all have a mother. This is part of the cycle. And some of us are fathers and mothers. How many of you are fathers and mothers today, Baruch Hashem? This is part of the whole, like I want to use one of my Lion King sayings. This is a part of the whole circle of life, Baruch Hashem. It's the circle of life. You become a father and a mother, you beget a father and a mother. You come from a father and a mother, Baruch Hashem. Now, I want to hone in on this important point. The point of this. You know when we talked about Hakoni talked about in his lecture, and it's so key and so crucial. And we're going to look at this right from that verse that we read, the 10 statements there in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, when it talked about, to give glory and give honor to your father and to your mother. I'm telling you, Mishpachah, this is one of the foundations of our way of living, of our lifestyle. Religion is not here, heartbreaker. It's about our lifestyle, how we're going to live. And believe me, you didn't come here by happenstance. You came here for a reason, for an appointed time. Baruch Hashem. Maybe just to hear this message. But I will tell you this. Everything happens in life for a reason. We have a mother and a father for a reason. You see? Heartbreaker says, I'm here going from room to room. Did not hear everything. Oh, no problem. We record these lectures, Heartbreaker, and you can go listen to the recordings on YouTube if you like. We have Amir, you have a selection to listen to, but all the lectures are recorded. You just missed the lecture from our Kohen, but you can go back and listen to it on YouTube, so no worries there. But when we examine life and we go through life, sometimes we get so caught up in the hodgepodge and the condition of what the world tells you need to do, and that's out there making all this money. But people don't understand you don't make money. Money's not made. It's that conditioning that, money comes to you. You attract money to you. You don't have to go out and make it. It comes to you. It's energy. Just like Heartbreaker said, I feel your energy. I feel your energy too, Heartbreaker, because we are energies. We are all energies at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we all are energies. And you attract certain things to you by your energy. The impulses that go on, your energy, you will attract certain things to you. And you can bring certain things to you that you desire for yourself. Just by wanting them. The question is, how bad do you want them? You see? But those things can be brought in to you. So money is the energy as well, and it can be attracted to you if you have the right relationship with money. Just like if you have the right relationship. How many of you in love with your mother and your father? You should be. How many of you love with your spouse, your significant other? You should be. Now, your definition of love, that may vary. You see, Ike and Tina, the Tina Turner movie about her life, I was watching that movie, and, Ike would tell Tina, oh, I love you, after he beat up on her. Well, I don't need that kind of love. Just like Tina said in her song, what love got to do with it if you're going to be beating up on me? You know what I mean? Love don't have nothing to do with it. You say you love me, but yet I got a black eye. You know what I mean? So love can be relative. Love can be relative. And we love in different ways. How do we show the powers of Israel, the God of Israel, that we love him? How do we do that? Like when we look at this parsha, this is the last parsha of the Leviticus, by the way, of the book of Leviticus. When it talks about the statutes, and we can read that when we have the Bible. When it talks about the statutes, talking about obeying the statutes, Well, that's important. That's how we show love, by our how we complete our task, and about how devoted we are to the task that we're taking on upon ourselves. Now, what task do you have for yourself? You ask yourself that question. What are my tasks? Do I have any tasks for myself? Is there anything in this life, in this great gift that I've been given of life, that I want to accomplish? You know, and where am I at that level? You see, these are all personal questions. These are questions that come from within. And I tell you, no person in this world can go through life by themselves and be successful. You just can't do it. We're influenced by those that are around us, in our surroundings, aren't we? You cannot be successful in this life going through it by yourself, or trying to, seclude yourself somewhere in some closet somewhere, or some island where you can't be successful that way. If one of the blessings of the COVID is it showed us that we're social creatures, and we can't deal with this isolation issue. I mean, if you're hearing all these stories about people that are breaking these so-called social distances because they want to be out and about with other people. They want to socialize. That's important. That's very, very important as human beings that we have that socialization. Why do you think the father of our faith, our way of living, Abraham, he had his doors open to everybody all the time? He would feed you, come sit down, break bread with them, have conversation. So we're social. And if anybody's social, believe me, Hebrews, Jews, descendants of the Hebrews, Israelites, you're social people. Don't ever deny yourself or think that you're not social. It's in you to be social. It's in you to socialize. It's in you to communicate with others. Not to isolate, but to communicate. It's very, very important that we understand that. Now, where do we learn and where do we get all these things from? And this is where we get back to honoring our mother. Because I guarantee you, one of the biggest influences on your life is your mother. Yeah, your father's there too. Your father out of fear. I learned the greatest lessons from my father out of fear because I respected and honored him so much that I didn't want to go against his word in no kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. But I can guarantee you, how many of you right now can put up an 8, you can say some of the greatest experiences in my life and the greatest influences that come from my mother? Put up an 8 if you can say that. Capital or lowercase, it don't matter. But if you can affirm that, yeah, my mother was one of the greatest and is the greatest, one of the greatest influences on my life. Why is that? Why is that? Because the Torah tells us, and we're going to look at that word honor. We're going to look at it from the ancient Hebrew today, because it's brilliant when we begin to understand that. And it falls right in line to what our Kohen was saying in this lecture. Now, I'm going to tell you this story, and it's personal. It's just about my family. My baby brother, he's the baby. My father begat 5 children. 5 children. 4 boys and 1 girl. I'm the oldest of those 5, and Kevin is the youngest of those 5. I go and kind of mention to you about my brother Kevin. Well, Kevin has been incarcerated. Now, Kevin had many opportunities. And, being the baby of the bunch, the baby seems to always get spoiled in the family. Because the baby, well, your parents, with the oldest, I was the oldest, so it was stricter on me because, first, your parents, I'm my father's first son, his first child as well, so, there was a lot of protections on me, and I didn't get as much leeway. How many of you know what I'm talking about? As my younger brother did, Kevin. Because, I was the experiment. I was the lessons. And then Kevin, by the time he got down to Kevin, number 5, Kevin, the baby of us, he got babied more. He got spoiled more, whereas I got more of the discipline. Remember how Queen talked about discipline? Well, believe me, I knew what discipline was. How many of you can sympathize and empathize with what I'm saying? You knew what the discipline was in the household because I got it. I got it. You know what I mean? I knew how to respect and honor my parents because their word was golden. There was no time to, let's sit down and negotiate. There was no negotiating here. Word was bond and word was law, and that's just what it was. That's how I was brought up in my family. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I see the ones coming up. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You see, always in Pharaoh says I was the only child, so I don't know. Being the only child, what did you get? You get a little bit of both, a little bit of discipline and a little bit of the spoiling put together. I don't know what that means in your particular household. If you want to expound, always available, you can. So my brother Kevin, you know, he was sort of spoiled. You know, I had no spoiling. Oh, okay. Always available, so that meant no spoiling. Let me give an example. For me, I began to work at, I was at age 16. 16, I picked up a job at the grocery store after work. I also still played sports and everything, but my father said, you're going to get out and get a job. You're going to learn responsibilities, because there's things that I wanted. My father taught me at a young age, if you want something, then you got to go and work for it. So at age 16, I was working, going to school, and still playing sports. I work in the grocery store. And I moved up. At first, I started as a little bag boy. Back in the day, well, they still kind of do it today. They bag your groceries for you. You know, and some, you know, we carry them out to their cars, and these little cars. Sometimes you get tips, sometimes you wouldn't. I tell you, this is where I really learned to pick up my socializing skills, or what they call the gift of the gab. You see, Ursula says, middle child, fend for yourself. Yeah, okay, all right. And so, but my brother, on the other hand, Kevin, he didn't have to get a job. Now, my father did buy my first car, but I actually bought it because he told me, when you save up enough money, then you can go, we can get you a car. My brother, my younger brother Kevin, they bought him 3 cars before he got out of high school. And I remember, Hako, you remember them days? I rode, and my first car was a Datsun 510. Yeah, my Datsun 5, I love that little car, I tell you. I bought it while I was in high school. And I was so proud. I was so happy for myself because, you know, I worked hard for that car. Datsun 510, I remember going to get my license in that car and everything. And I took care of that car like no man's business. It just ran for me, you know. First car. Well, I remember that car, my Datsun 510. They don't make them no more, but, you know, Nissan. Datsun was bought out by Nissan. I think they were the same company or whatever, but now it's Nissan today. I guess that's why I'm a fan of Nissans as well, because that was one of my first car actually. And it was used. Oh, he never had to work. They bought cars for him brand new. He got brand new cars. I didn't get brand new cars. I got to say, today, I'm so grateful to my father and to my mother for giving me that work ethic and that mentality of discipline. You understand what I'm saying? And so, with my brother Kevin, he didn't get none of that. He didn't get no discipline. He didn't understand what work ethic was. He thought everything had to be given to him. Well, he recently that he went and visited my brother Corey because, you know, the government in America giving you a lot of stimulus money. So Kevin received a lot of stimulus money from Uncle Sam, and he went and bought another car. Now, this is not Kevin's first time brush with the law, but Kevin has a laundry list. He has a list longer than the first book of the Torah. No, I'm just exaggerating, but it's pretty long. Of being incarcerated for drinking and driving. Kevin has this issue with alcohol. Him and alcohol have a relationship, and it's not a good one. And my mind has been on Kevin for a while now, because he, much less hurt himself, I don't want him to hurt somebody else, get behind the wheel. Kevin's mother recently passed, maybe like 3 years ago, and Kevin is still dealing with that issue. Kevin's mother's not my mother, by the way. My father married 3 times. My mother was his first marriage, and she's still alive today, Baruch Hashem. Thank you to the powers of Israel. But my father's second wife is passed, and his third wife is also passed. So now he's by himself there in Houston now. I say all this to say this, Mishpahah. Mothers are very important, and they play a role in the upbringing of how you're going to go and which way you're going to go. If you honor, I prefer the strict method, because the strict method will begin to teach you and prepare you for what the real world is. Now, Kevin, on the other hand, he didn't get that from my mother. My father was always working, so it was basically the mother, you know, father's word went down and you just obeyed it in his absence. You know what I mean? My father worked offshore. in the Gulf of Mexico for an oil company back in the day. It used to be called Amoco Oil Company. I don't even think they're around anymore. They were bought out. So he was never there. So you just went on his word. Before he left, he'd give you instruction, and you just went on his word in absence because he wasn't there. So the majority of the upbringing and the rearing, like Akoi talked about, and the education came from the mothers. You know what I mean? Now, how many of your households were sort of kind of like that, to where, you know, your father did all the working, but the mother was the homemaker? Maybe she even had a job as well. And this is the problem that you see, Hakohin, here in North America, is that everybody has to chase that dollar to where the mother and father both work. And so, just like Hakohin said, and it's so true, is that the rearing is left up to strangers because, oh, well, you got to go to daycare because we can't take care of you. You know, we're working, you know, both of us are working 2 jobs. Both the parents are working 2 jobs. So there's no time to really train up a child in the way he or she should go. So that is left up to strangers to do that. And like I always said, when you leave the lessons that you want taught to your children, the strangers, what are they being taught? You don't know. You don't know what they're being taught. Now, I understand, and believe me, child care today is just totally so expensive. It's crazy. But if you pay all this money, and what are you getting? What are you getting out of your investment? You're getting a rearing that's based upon this standardized system, depending on what state you're in, that they want your child to learn, and that they're going to teach them. Socializing is there because, of course, there's a lot of other children there. That's one of the benefits of it. But when you put the socializing on the scale with what they're being taught and what your children are being reared in and what they're being told is right and wrong, oh my goodness. The scales are tipped to where, I mean, shoot, you can take a child to the park to get them socialized. But again, here in North America, what's the motivation? Is money. Money is the driver. And these families want to make money. And I get it. They want to get out here and make money to where something has to be sacrificed in the process. And what is that? The rearing of the children. That's what's being sacrificed. And that's a big sacrifice. Because you just don't want your children being taught by just any Joe Blog and any old information that's out there. That's very, very important to understand. And this is why mom is so important. So Kevin, back to Kevin. So Kevin, he's spoiled, still is spoiled to this day. He's a 34-year-old man, spoiled. He's spoiled. And he expecting, every time Kevin got in any kind of little trouble. You see, back when we were raised, our name, the Clopas name, holds a lot of weight. They said that it holds a lot of weight because there's a lot of us. My grandmother had 12. In Louisiana, Clopas name, and somebody knows the Clopas. My grandmother had 12 children. So the Clopas name holds a lot of weight in the city where my brother's at. And so just on that name alone, they would cut him some slack. Okay, Kevin, we know it's you this time. Law enforcement will actually cut him some slack. Okay, we're going to let you slide this time. We're going to let you slide this time. Well, I look at my brother's record. My goodness. He's already had 5 DUIs. I'm like, man, 5 drinking while intoxicated. If he was in San Antonio, he'd be under the jail already. And I'm like, you have 5 DUIs and you were still able to purchase a car? That's what he did with his stimulus money. He bought another car. And his last car he bought, my brother Corey told him, my brother Corey's in law enforcement. And he told him, he went to my brother Corey's house and told him, he said, I just got this car. And this car was all black and the windows were tinted, so limo tinted all the way around. And my brother Corey told him, say, look, man, if I see you driving this car on the street, I would pull you over. Because the tint is too thick and it's too dark and this car just looks suspicious. So I would pull you over and ask you for your particular information. And my brother Corey told him, Kevin, whatever you do, don't drive this car. Whatever you do, don't take this car back. This car is a magnet for law enforcement. Did Kevin listen? No, he didn't. So he left Kevin's house. He left Corey's house. And, that night he went out drinking with his friends, and he got busted that same night, drinking and driving. By not following and listening to instruction, that's what happens. And my brother, who is in law enforcement, he told him, look, if I'm in my police unit and I see your car, I'm pulling you over. But Kevin, he has a mind of his own. Why? Because Kevin always knows he's going to get bailed out. He's going to bail him out. His mother bailed him out every time he get in trouble. Oh, don't worry, my mother will take care of me. But mother's gone. Remember I told you his mother passed maybe like 3 years ago. Mother passed on to the next life. And so who's here for him? So now he's incarcerated. He's not getting bailed out for me. Guess who he calling now? He calling Big Brother. He's calling me now to take care of his bail, this, that, the other, and the third. And I'm not going to do it. Because like I told Akoyan, I think this is a blessing for him. This is the best place for him. Number one, I know where he's at. Number two, he's not hurting himself or anybody else. Many times, again, you can hear story after story about, innocent people being killed by drunk drivers. Innocent families being just wiped out by drunk drivers. Annihilated. Decimated. Destroyed by drunk drivers. So, affirmations are already written for my brother, Kevin, to get the necessary help that's going to be beneficial to him, that's going to make his life better. That he comes to grips with himself, because that's what he needs to do. But again, I'm looking back on Kevin's life and I'm like, look, it was his upbringing. Kevin has always been just, a loose chicken. He just do whatever he wants to do because he always knew that somebody would take care of him and fix his problems for him instead of him dealing with his own problems. But now my baby brother Kevin needs to understand, as a man, a 34-year-old man, that he needs to deal with his problems. And sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can see up. I was telling my family that. I said, sometimes in life, you can't receive, a person can't receive instruction from another person. They have to go through the experience themselves and hit that rock bottom before they can see up. And my desire is that my brother begins to see up now. And that he betters himself and he comes out a better a person for society, a better individual that's going to do great things for the society, not be destructive, but be productive in his neighborhood and in his town and in his city. That's my desire for him. He has a young son as well, and baby mama. And my do right by his son. But first he must do right by himself. He must take care of himself. He has to deal with himself. Now, you used to say this, but from what I'm hearing, in prison institutions, that they can still get alcohol, they can still get marijuana, they can see all kind of drugs. You can still get that in prison. But, my brother's in Louisiana, and what they're going to do with him is they're going to put him on he's going to be in these prison institutions where he's actually going to go out and work. They're going to make you go out and work for the state. So he's actually going to go out and do hard labor. This is one of those particular type places. They have a lot of them in Louisiana like that, where you actually, if they're going to take care of you, then you're going to go out and you're going to clean the streets, you're going to clean the interstates, you're going to, whatever they have them doing, they'll go out and actually work. And that's something Kevin's not used to. And so I think it's truly, and I know it's truly beneficial for him. You see, I picked up that work ethic. Remember I told you when I was 16, I was working. But Kevin never did. He never held a job. He went to college. He's got a degree. He went to Grambling State University. Got a nice degree. He was working before he, got this DUI. He was working at the oil plants that they have there, petroleum plants that they have there in Louisiana, making great money. But what does he have to show for all that? You can make all the money that you want to make, and you put on this outside facade of a great life, but internally he's just tore up, and he needs to be fixed. He needs to be broken down so he can be rebuilt. But he needs to see this for himself, Mishpah. Mama's not here no more to bail him out. Big brother is definitely not going to bail him out, because I understand this is the best place for it. I'm not going to enable his situation. He needs to get right for himself. And he needs to find it. But this is what I would consider tough love. And some folks need that, Mishpah. Some folks need it. You know, they don't, their scale don't have mercy on it. I mean, their scale is tipped so far to mercy that you know, the tough love, there's no balance. And right now, Kevin's out of balance with himself. So he needs to, you know, this is the most merciful thing that I can do for him is let him stay in there and get right. Now, he's looking at a sentence. It's a felony, so he's looking at maybe 2 years, 3 years. My desire is that he gets sober in there, but like I said, you can still find it in there. But my desire, my script is that he doesn't have a desire for alcohol anymore. He has a desire, he has a thirst for life and not for alcohol. Some folks can't handle it. And I'm pretty sure some of you in this room, you have some kind of friend, family member, loved one who has had a battle with alcohol, or maybe even drugs for that matter. Write affirmation that particular individual has a thirst for life, is craving life, and a beautiful life, and life that's more abundant. Baruch Hashem. But at the end of the day, Kevin's got to want it. That energy is going to go to him, but will he receive it? He has to receive it. The energy will be there. The setup, it'll come to him, and it'll set up, and it'll manifest itself. But again, if you don't receive it, then what is it? Will it come back around? It can. It can come back around. That's just like us when we come into the way. Are we ready to receive it? Sometimes we're not. So we're not at that age. We're not at a maturity level. We're not at that experience to where we're open to receive Torah. And Kevin was one that rejected Torah. Still to this day, I'll sit there and say, Shalom, Kevin. He'll say, Shalom. That Shalom stuff. You keep all that stuff. God of Israel. You know, Israelite. Oh, man, I tell you, so this is why I don't deal with Kevin. See, now Kevin want to reach out and find Big Brother. Only when he's in trouble. Only when he's in need. But before that, mocking the God of Israel, mocking our way of life. Oh, you don't eat pork. Let me give you some. Just mocking and making a joke and a mockery of it. Don't ever do that. Yah forbid. So to prevent Kevin from doing worse harm to himself, I don't discuss Torah with him. I tell him hello. I don't say shalom. So it keeps him out of trouble. It keeps him from digging a bigger hole for himself. This is why you must understand Mishpachah. Those of you listening in YouTube as well, it's not our remit to go out here to evangelize and to tell everybody about the Torah of Moses. They have the Torah of Moses in their Bible. The first 5 books have it in their Bible. It's not for us to go out and tell them. Don't, again, you can put them in a worse situation by letting them and allowing them to make a mockery. You can set up a scenario where they'll make a mockery of the God of Israel. And do you think that's doing them more good than harm, or more harm than good? Think about it. This is why I steer clear of that. Well, let me go out and tell this good news to the whole world. No, this is not Christianity. and this is not good news. This is great news anyways. But this is not Christianity. This is not our remit to do that. Let us to live our lives. And then those that hunger and thirst after righteousness, they will find it. They will come find you. Our holy books say, if you seek, then you will find. Let them see. And they say, well, you have to go out and search them. They say, if you go out and search them, then you find them. No, we don't have to go find anybody. Allow them to seek, and then they will find. Just like you were all seekers. Everybody in this room, you were a seeker. Nobody had to go find you, say, pull you by the ear and say, hey, come in and listen to Rabbi Simon out of the Kohen give you instruction. And this is why, just like Heartbreaker, he or she, I don't want to offend you, he or she came in here. Nobody pulled his arm to come in here or pulled her arm to come in here. They came in here he came in here on his own free will. He came here on his own free will. He can leave on his own free will. We see people come and go here all the time. Because people they can't the truth that is within themselves. They want to go have to search for truth so they can blame the truth for all of their mishaps and their mistakes instead of dealing with what's really going on. The truth is everything that you're equipped with, everything within you to dominate. Humanity has been given dominion over this earth You've been given dominion to dominate this earth. Are you dominating, or is the earth dominating you? Oh, I feel like everything's coming upon me and I can't handle it. I hear this all the time. People say this all the time. I hear it all the time. And I tell them, you say it, that's what you're going to be. However you see it, that's what you're going to be. Heartbreaker said, I came because this room, because he said, I come because this room is new, right? It's a new room. I come because I thought it was a new room, and I thought it in response to this room. So I came, laugh out loud. Actually, this room is not new. It's really old. We've been here for a very, very long time. Empower yourself in the Torah and Yahushua. We've been here for a very, very long time. Heartbreaker. But you know what, Heartbreaker? What you did, you were a great example of what I'm talking about. You found this room. You sought this room, and you found it. Rukas Shin. You sought it. Heartbreaker sought it out. Believe me, I didn't wake up this morning, I'm going to get on Power Talk, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to seek for Heartbreaker to find this room. I'm going to seek him out, and I'm going to drag him into this Power Talk forum. Nope. I didn't do that. And just like Hakohin entitled this room, it's empower yourself with the Torah and Yahushua. It's empower yourself in the Torah and rescue. Empower yourself to rescue yourself from whatever you're dealing with. And that's what my brother has to do, Kevin. He has to empower himself. Right now, he's being dominated and empowered by alcohol. And it's making him make some bad decisions in his life. Some wrong decisions that come with consequences, by the way. But when you empower yourself to be at peace, when you empower yourself to be full of love and joy, when you empower yourself to be full of happiness, then you truly empowered yourself. Not going with, well, everybody else is sad, so I'm going to be sad. Everybody else is busted and disgusted, so I'm going to be busted and disgusted. Everybody else is that. You don't have to be that. Well, they said I'm only going to, you don't have to be what they said. You be what you want to be. And the question is, the first relationship that you have to have that's outstanding is that relationship with yourself. Know yourself. Know what you love. Love yourself first. Then you can love somebody else. I've learned this experience going through great lessons. Great lessons in this experience of relationship. I sought relationship through other people would make my relationship good with myself. Now I understand. If I don't have a relationship with myself, I cannot have an outstanding relationship with other people. If I don't have an outstanding relationship with myself, if I don't love myself, how am I going to love other people? These are some of the greatest lessons that I learned from my mother and multiple mothers that I had in my life. Because remember, my father was married 3 times. So I've gained a lot of wisdom from different women at different stages of my life. And it's beautiful. And it is indeed wonderful continuously. There's no time for me to be negative. There's no time for me to be sad. You know, I rejoiced when my brother went to jail. I actually rejoiced when I got the message and said, hey, your brother's in jail. I began to rejoice. And all the family members were like, hey, well, when are you going to bail him out? I'm not bailing him out. They're like, what? That's your blood, blah, blah, blah. You see, again, they don't see the bigger picture. They can't see the road for the trees. There's too many trees in their way. But I understand the bigger picture for my brother. Is he's in the right place. And our taxpayer dollars are going to go to work that's going to be beneficial to him. That's going to help him understand that he can be a great product and a great asset to society. And not a hindrance to society, but a great asset. And that's the thing about it, Mishpachah. Kevin had a mother that spoiled him royally. Top-tier spoiling. Never allowed him to understand the very essence of what life really is. And now, because of that, my brother suffers. But you can't blame it all on the mama. There's a lot of mama's boys. Me and Hakohin have experienced a lot of mama's boys. And you women, you steer clear of them mama's boys. You need a man that's going to be responsible, that's disciplined, and that's determined to give you your wants and your desires in your life. That's what I'm telling you, that's what you need. And that's what you desire. That's what you deserve that with women. I respect women so much. My goodness, I never thought of, and again, I'm going to respect women even more tomorrow. But especially after I see my wife give birth to my son, oh my goodness. My love and my respect for my wife went to another level. After seeing that, and it's only going to get better and even more better. I understand that cycle of life with men and women who will begot from a man and a woman, and who will beget men and women. That's the cycle. That's the cycle. So we go back and we look at that verse where it talks about honoring. And I love the way it says it in the Hebrew, to give glory and honor to your father and to your mother. Note, I want you to note something here first, Israel. I did make the statement that fathers are out there working and doing whatever they need to do to where they're not home. How many of you, I need to put this survey out there. How many of you in this household, your father came home and he was home every night? Put up a capital F. If in your household you had father and mother home every night, well, father was home every night. You saw your father every night. Put up an F. If you saw your father every night, he came home every night, he was there. Johnny on the spot. So for those of you who are on Facebook or YouTube, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 folks that said that out of the 19 in the room. Now, note in that verse in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, that it says, give glory and honor. The Torah tells us, our holy book tells us, to give glory and honor to you. Why does it say Father first? Father, why does it say Father first? Because let me tell you why it says Father first. Because Father is responsible for the child. You're going to say, hold up, wait a minute. It's true. The Father is responsible for that child. Why would the Torah put Father first if Father wasn't responsible? The most responsible for the child is the Father. See, this is why here in North America, and I like their law, they make sure they get that child support out of the father. Because they try to tell you, the father, even though the relationship may be broken, busted, disgusted, in a disaster zone, but the father's still going to be responsible for that child. Now, I don't know today if they're locking them up so much like they used to back in the day, but I can remember one time here in North America, if you didn't pay your child support, they would actually put you in jail. But then I'm thinking, what's the benefit of putting you in jail? Then the child's not going to get no support, no child support whatsoever, monetary support. See what I'm saying? So I'm thinking they're kind of going away from that and locking them up and just going to the IRS and just taking the money right from the right from the income taxes and all that. I think that's kind of the way that they're going now. But they want to get the necessary monies because it takes money to raise a child. A child ain't free, and the responsibility. So what North America is doing, I don't know if it's like this in the UK. I don't know. Lion King, Lion Princess, I don't know if y'all in the room, y'all can tell me. But I don't know if it's like that if there's a divorce and there's children involved, if they hold the father financially responsible for each one of the children that were made during that marriage. I don't know if it's like that in the UK, but in America, they're going to hold you to it. They're going to hold you to it. Just like in the Torah. Give glory and honor to your father and your mother. Lion Princess is saying, yes, it is like that as well. The father is ultimately responsible for that child. Yet, you see, here in these nations, they make it seem like the mother holds the responsibility. Think about that for a minute. And Torah is just the opposite. It's the father that has the responsibility. Aquay says, yes, but they would kick your butt and take your money from your salary each month. That's cool. They hit you at your salary. Yeah, I think it's the same way here in North America as well. They get that salary. They're going to get you either way. So you are going to be responsible for that child. This is why it's so very important. Women in this room, mothers and future mothers, that you be very selective on who you decide to be your mate. Very, very selective. It's very important because you want to get somebody that's disciplined and not undisciplined. You want to get somebody that's devoted and not out there, not coming home when he's supposed to be home. He said, but no prison as well. So, the father in our way of life, how many fathers in the room? We're ultimately responsible for those children. Ultimately, we are responsible. We're not going to be like these nations, especially here in North America. I see it here in Texas a lot. There's a lot of baby daddies running around here that's not being responsible. A lot of baby daddies. They just out here, they're fathering children, but they're not being responsible. And so guess who steps up and becomes the father? Uncle Sam picks up the tab and gives the necessaries to the mothers because the fathers have just left them. And the mothers can't, in their defense, they just can't get out there and work. They can't get out there to work. Like I said, father to many in the nations. Indeed. So in the mother's defense, they just can't get out there and work because they have to take care of these children and mind these children. So who becomes the father? Uncle Sam. And our taxpayer dollars. And I've seen it at work here in Texas. And they do step up. They give the necessary monies. They give the necessary monies monthly. They're giving money for food, and they're giving housing as well. And that's the mainstay of our way of living, Mishpachah, is that when we come into a relationship, is that men, at the basics that you need to provide. And women, you need to hear this loud and clear. It's food, clothing, and shelter. If you can't do that, then you need to run like Forrest away from that particular man. If he's saying, well, no, baby, we're going to save money and we're going to go live with mama and them. Oh, no, that's a mama's boy. Then you need to run far away like Forrest from these particular individuals. But you get a man in front of you, you say, baby, I'm going to provide for you food, clothing, and shelter at minimum. That's the minimum. I'm going to make sure you have that until your dying days. Honey bun, sugar dumpling, apple pie, and that's the ones you need to, you give ear to. You give ear to these kind of men. But them other ones, you leave them alone. Oh, but Rabbi, you don't understand. He's just so handsome. Well, you can leave handsome at the door. You can leave handsome. Oh, but Rabbi, he looks like Denzel. So what? Denzel don't pay the bills. Rukashir. Understand that going forward. Understand that going forward. Line Princess is saying a lot of babies' fathers state becomes the daddy. That's absolutely right. And it's the same here. I'm seeing that same model being played out here in North America as well. It's that broken home syndrome. And so the mother has to reap a big responsibility on herself. And then technically that affects the child in a lot of ways. When the child don't grow up with that testosterone in the home and just only estrogen, it has a big effect on the child. And it affects him all the way through his years. This is why we're told in our Torah, as part of our statement, is to give glory and honor to our father and to our mother. They upon the land which Yahweh your power has given you. It's so vital. This is building that foundation. For those of you who have parents, you understand. Maybe they didn't do everything right, but they did the best that they could with what they understood. They did the best that they could. And for some of you, you can say, man, they did the greatest, because I can see everything that they taught me, it was spot on. I didn't understand it at the time they were teaching me, but now I see it. As a parent myself, as an adult myself, I see that everything they were teaching me the right way to preserve me. To preserve me from the potholes that are out there. And so I can detour and go down other paths. So I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute, but I want to wrap it up with the Hebrew here. I want to look at the Hebrew. I want to look at the Hebrew for the word honor there. The word honor there from Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. To give glory and honor to your father and to your mother. I want to look at the Hebrew there. The Hebrew there is kabad. The Hebrew for the word honor. Now, let's look at the ancient Hebrew here for a minute. I want you to see this. This is so beautiful. Kabad. Kabad. That's actually the three Hebrew characters used for the word kabad or honor here. It's the calf, it's the bet, and the dalet. Now, this is the beautiful part of it. When you look at the ancient Hebrew hieroglyphs that are in your Abrahamic-Faith Bible in the back there, and your hidden Truth Break scrolls, the calf is the sling. Now, sling. You think about a sling, and I'm watching this series on Netflix right now that's dealing with back in the day when they used to fight with bows and arrows and with swords and stuff like that during the time of the Crusades and stuff. And this father's teaching his son about the bow and arrow. How many of you ever shot a bow and arrow before? I haven't. How many? Anybody in this room, you ever shot a bow and arrow? You ever shot one before? How many of you are pretty accurate? I've never shot one before, so I don't know. But I understand that there's sling on there. The way the father was teaching this to his son, he said, you know, the tighter you put your sling, the more strength you're going to have when you go and pull back. The more strength you have when you release that arrow, that it'll go faster. So he's telling the son, make sure your string is tight on your bow. Make sure you have a tight bow. The string, that sling on there. So we look at the word calf, and we look at the word kabad, and it has the kuf, the calf. It has the bet. Bet is for the house. The calf is for the sling, and the dalet is for the mouth. My goodness! Look at this. You can build your house on here. Where your strength gonna come from? You and I. Where does our strength come from? And this is why it's so important. When you don't have parents in the home and you miss this, what's gonna happen to the children? This is what we were talking about earlier. Your children are gonna be confused. They're gonna be all over the place. They won't have no discipline. They won't have no honor. They won't have no respect. And how many of you are seeing this in the nations that you're in? You see these young children around here, they don't have no respect. They're wearing their pants down to their knees, and then you're seeing their underoos and all. I'm like, what the heck is going on? They're disrespecting older women, have no respect for grandmas and grandpas. What's going on around here? It's because, look here. Look at this word honor. Honor is missing. Honor is missing. So when they go to build their house, when the sling, you think about the sling. You think about the sling, and you know, either you're going to have a loose sling or a tight sling, or you think about the sling, it is like a rope. How far are you going to extend your rope out? How far, you know, and you can kind of allegorically talk about a rope as being the length of your life. How far is your rope going to go out? Your rescue. I mean, when somebody wants to be rescued, and maybe they're in a 10-story building, yeah, you come with this, you know, little thin thread or a little small rope that can't even reach them. Where's their rescue at? You know, you can't save them if the rope is not strong enough, and if the rope is not long enough. I want a long rope, Mishpahah, so that I can rescue not only myself, but my family as well. But I want a long rope for longevity, for long life as well, just like it's talked about in this verse here as well, in our parsha in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. I mean, if you want a long rope, when you look at that calf, you want a long sling. You don't want a short one. All of our lives are going to be extended. All of our lives are going to be long. Baruch Hashem. Why? It's because we have embraced the covenants, the contracts of Israel. And it talks about the bet. The next, in kabad is the bet, is the house. My house today is, I can base my house on the laws of the Torah, but also on what I was taught, the lessons that I've learned from my family, what I've learned when I was in my own house, Baruch Hashem, as a child. How many of you can remember saying this as a child? Hey, Powder, Shabbat Shalom to you. How many of you can remember saying this as a child when you were being raised and reared by your mother in your mother's and father's home? You say, man, when I get my house, I'm going to do things this way. Or, when I get my own house, I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to do them this way. Anybody ever remember saying that as a child? Man, when I get my house, I'm going to do this the same way. Or, when I get my house, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it another way. Oh, now I know not how to do my house when I have my house. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, right? You remember them days? You remember them days? And now look. Fast forward. Now you have your own house. And you remember the lessons, the instructions that were given to you as a child or experiences that you went through. And you say, oh, yeah, this is why I do my house this way. Or I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. I knew in my household, coming up as a child, I never saw my father and mother argue. Never. I never saw that. I never heard them argue. And guess what? My house is the same way today. We don't argue. You would never hear us argue. But we can agree respectfully to disagree, but I won't argue with my wife. I would never do that. I would never do that. And Nakshan, now I have Nakshan here. He's 19 months now. And, you know, Nakshan loved to give kisses. Oh, he loved to give, he goes, ma. He loves to give kisses. But I'm noticing now Nakshan is watching the interaction between my wife and myself. When I give my wife a kiss, Nakshan's looking like, that's kind of strange. I thought I'm only supposed to kiss my mother. And I can only imagine what he's thinking inside his little strong big brain of his, all that knowledge of just ticking away up there. And he see me give my wife a hug, and he looks at that and he's like, He's like, I thought I could only hug my wife. But you see, he's seeing these positive things take place within our home because just like Queen said, you see, me and my wife are going to be the ones that teach my son. We're going to be the ones giving him that instruction. I'm not counting on the public school system. And I'm definitely not counting on the private school system. It's going to occur through us. But again, they have their place, just like Queen told you. Listen, everybody needs to know the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and know how to read, learn how to read and write, and definitely know how to do the math. You know, put 2 and 2 together and get 4. Rukashin. That's important. But again, the mainstay of the rearing and raising is going to come from the father. Because look at this word honor. In that word kabad, we see that Exodus 20 and 12. You have the calf, the bet, and the dalet. The dalet is for the mouth. The bet is for the house. So to extend your sling, to extend your calf, to extend your life, you have to do what? Build a house with what? What comes out of your mouth? What do you want coming out of your mouth? Positive things. Positive things. This is what's going to extend your sling or give you that longevity. When you build your house on positive things, on the sayings that are coming out of your mouth. Yah forbid, I want them to be positive. And so this is why it's important that we listen to the instruction of the Kohen, because he's teaching us how to reconstruct or the total paradigm shift of what we've been taught in the nations as Israel is waking up out of her slumber. Because we're definitely doing that. We're waking up out of our slumber. And so we wake up and then now what? Do we continue to follow the conditioning that we received in the nations? Yah forbid. So we have to totally do a paradigm shift and remember and go back to the ancient ways of our forefathers. Those forever ways. That's talked about in Jeremiah 6 and 16. Those forever ways, the ancient ways of our forefathers. And go back and begin to practice and live that lifestyle, the way of life. It's not a religion, Mishpah, it's the way we live. Abraham didn't walk around claiming a religion. He lived a lifestyle. And that's how he was known, by the lifestyle that he lived. You see, Noah didn't get off the boat saying, I'm a Christian. he didn't get off the boat saying, I'm a Christian or I'm a Catholic. No, he didn't say that. Just like we learned in this parsha. We go back to the statutes. We go back to the tasks that are given to you. Were we successful at following the tasks? I tell you, one of the greatest taskers out there that you can be successful at, the greatest hoops out there would be Noah. I tell you, he followed through with his task. And I tell you, he had to put up with a lot of antagonists around him. Everybody joking and complaining and making jokes about him and just putting him down. Like, why the hell are you building this boat, brother? We never had any rain before, much less a flood, and you doing this? You're so stupid. I can hear what they're saying. He's probably the talk of the town, but did that prevent him? Did that deter him? No. He stayed devoted. He stayed disciplined to what? To the task. Noah had a mother too, by the way, Bukashir. So when we look at Kavan, and I would encourage all of you to do so, how are you going to extend your sling? How are you going to make that rescue rope longer so that you can save folks, save yourself, save your family, and those that are around you? Man, I want a rope that's, I imagine my rope circling the globe, just going around, so I can be rescued to those that are around me. Not that I'm going out, my mandate is to go out and rescue people and save people. No, not the way the Christians think, but just how I live my life. And folks will come to me, and then I'll give them those golden nuggets. I'll extend them a piece of my rope so that they can go and help themselves. Be happy, be full of peace, love, joy. That's what everybody wants at the end of the day, Mishpahah. They may not come out and tell you, but they'll look for all of those things that I just named off in other things. They'll look for it in women or a man. They'll look for it in a job, in some kind of employment. They'll look for it in the form of money. They'll look for it in the form of material things. They'll look for it in many things. Not that there's nothing wrong with those things. But again, they're out there seeking for things that they already have within themselves, Heartbreaker. If you think about it for a minute. But they already have all the necessary things within them, but they can't, because they can't see the road for the trees. So they'll go out there and they'll hunt for all these different things and other things outside of themselves. And thus they'll never find that happiness. It may last for a minute, but then they'll feel, oh, I'm so depressed. I got this 5-figure, 6-figure job, 7-figure job, yet I'm still not happy. I know people that way right now. I work around doctors all the time, and we're friends, and they're not happy. Yet they have these big time salaries. They're making all of this money. You think, oh well, if they have all this money, they should be happy. Money don't make you happy. You should already be happy within. Hakoin sent me a link. He's talking about, I think it's Bill Gates. I think it was. Him and his wife are getting a divorce. I was like, my goodness, I think I texted back something like this. Well, that proves that money don't make you happy. You see, $1 billion can't make you happy, then money can't make you happy. All that money, you should be able to hold a marriage down, right? Well, see, again, Hakui mentioned this in his lecture. When you're just dealing with the symptoms, but not the root cause, then you'll never get on. You'll never deal with the particular ailment, because you're just treating the symptoms. You understand what I'm saying? Me and money have a friendship and a relationship that's going to last forever. I love money and money loves me. And we have a friendship that's continuous and it's going to last forever. Why? Because that's within. I have to go down here. Well, I got to figure. You see, I work smart. I don't work hard. I got to figure out how I'm going to pay this next bill. No. You just manifest the money to come to you, and it will in many different forms. It may not be how you think it's going to come to you, but it's going to come to you. Don't reject it when it do come to you. I see folks, you offer them money, and they say, oh, no, I don't need that money. God want to bless you, and yet you reject it. How do you think money feels when it comes to you and you reject it? You think it's going to come back anytime soon? See money as a relationship. And people, I don't know what it is, Miss Brown. It's like they're too proud. They're too proud to accept you giving them some kind of form of help. And I say, no, God's going to bless me, brother. Don't worry about it. Well, this is God coming to you. And he wants to bless you, and yet you reject it. You think money's going to find its way to you anytime soon? Hey, Benny, Shabbat Shalom to you. It can't do it. Because then you broke money's heart. See, money is a relationship. Oh, man, you broke money's heart. So now money can't come to you anymore. And I'm just using money, but you can apply that to anything. You can apply that to a relationship, man to woman. You can apply that to a job opportunity. You can apply that to within yourself, things that you desire for yourself. You desire peace for yourself. You desire love for yourself, joy for yourself, happiness for yourself. Do you desire those things? Then don't reject them when they come to you. You must find out what makes you happy and then be happy. And just like this word honor, we must begin to put the right things in our mouth and have the right things come out of our mouth. So that when we build that house is strong. And thus we extend that rescue. We extend our sling. We make our sling even stronger. Queen mentioned that we want to leave a legacy behind. How do we leave that legacy behind? It starts with honor. It does start with honor. It literally does. Honoring our mother and our father. Honoring what they did or did not tell us, so that when we build our house, it reminds me of that one little nursery rhyme about the 3 little pigs. You know, first one, he built his house with what? Straw, I think it was. The second one with hay or something. The second one with, I can't remember, but it was 3 different homes that were built. But the last home was built with brick. And then the wolf came and couldn't blow that house down. But the first one was built with straw or hay, next one with sticks or something like that. Those 2 houses went down. The wolf came and just blew them down, totally annihilated. So when that third house, he went to blow that third house out, he couldn't because it was built with brick. When you build your house, you want to build it strong so it can stand and withstand whatever may come this way. Because believe me, we live in a real world. Most folks in society have this issue. As a student of human nature, I found this out, is that they don't deal with reality. They live in a fictitious world that they make their reality, but they don't deal with real reality. They haven't come to terms with reality. And when you begin to come to terms with real reality, you understand, look, I have the power. Within that Bible that I have sitting in my bookshelf in my library, I have the power within me to dominate. I've been given that power by the powers, by the most highest power. I've been given that power. It's been mandated to me. I don't have to go out and search for it. I have that power within me. You have that power to be at peace. You have that power to be full of love and joy. And you have that power to be happy. You have it within you. You have it within you. So when I seen that word honor, and I looked at it in the Hebrew, I was like, wow, kabad. I truly have that rescue. I found that rescue in the Torah through HaKohen. And my rope continues, my sling continues to get longer. And then extends. HaKohen said he's the father in many nations, Baruch Hashem, and he truly is. Because I do see him as a father figure as well. Help me extend my rope to benefit what? My city, my town, my state, my country. To help those that want to be helped. To help those that seek help. Some folks don't want to be helped. And they're perfectly fine with where they are. This is why our remit is not to go around just helping folks. It's not our remit. Because some folks don't want to be helped. And you'll find yourself doing more harm than good. Helping folks that don't desire help or didn't come to you for help. Ask and it shall be given to you. Well, we have to afford them the opportunity to ask. You just can't go in there barging in there and just dominating. No, you got to afford humanity the opportunity to ask. Some folks are too proud to beg. Their pride is their kryptonite. Their pride prevents them from really getting the help that they desire for themselves. That rescue. Help, another form of just rescue. How many of you understand? Israel, we're helpers. We're helpers. That's what we do. We help people. Those that want to be helped, you have to have that willingness to want to be helped. And if you don't want to be helped, then we can't help you. Remember that going forward, Mr. So in this time, in this season, in this nation where I'm at, they're going to honor their mothers tomorrow, Baruch Hashem. I honor my mother 365 days out of the year. Give honor to her. And to my father as well. We all have a mother and a father. We all have that. Remember the words of a mother and a father? So we can build our house, and then we can help others in our household, those that are around us. And when we do that, then we begin to have an effect on our city, on our state, and on our nation, and on our world. But it starts in the home. Think about your sling this day. Think about your sling. How far is your rope? I can't answer that. Only you can. How far is your sling? Is it a small sling? Is it a thin, tiny sling? Is it a long sling like the fire trucks have? Shabbat shalom, Nashon. Huh? What kind of rope do you have? What kind of sling do you have? Consider that going forward. Consider that, Mishpah, that we must honor our father and our mother in that order. And when you begin to do that, your rope will extend. Okay, at this time, I think I'll wrap it up. I'm going to turn it back over to our Kohen. Hey, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Tell your mothers, happy Mother's Day. All the mothers out there. Enjoy your Mother's Day. And I know what I did for my wife. She wanted a garden house built, so I built that for her yesterday. That was my Mother's Day gift to my wife. She's totally happy. She put all her little garden effects in her house, and she's totally happy. She's totally happy. Remember, happy wife, happy life. Take care of the mothers out there. One day, you came from a mother, you're going to be a mother one day as well. Remember that, Mishpah. Honor our mothers and our fathers. Honor our fathers first, then honor your mother. That's how the Torah puts it down. Nations tell you the mothers are more important. Fathers will always be there to do the necessaries. Mothers have their role as well. It takes two to tango, Mishpah. Hey, Heartbreaker, hey, welcome to the room. You're more than welcome to come back anytime. Any of the newcomers as well. This is open door policy here. You can come and go as you need be. Benny, welcome as well. And you guys are more than welcome to come back. We open the room here at 8:30 Central Time, because I'm here in Texas. But we start lectures right at 9 o'clock. You're more than welcome to visit our website as well, Abrahamic-Faith.com, to visit our website and get more instruction there as well. And but welcome. All are welcome here. Tell your friends if they desire to come on in and welcome and learn about how to better their lives. Not about a religion here. It's about a way of life. And just better your life. However you want to better your life. What do you want out of life? Baruch Hashem. So we give thanks always. Over to you, HaKohen. We'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. Happy Mother's Day again to all of you mothers out there. And fathers as well. Your day is coming. Your day is every day, fathers. Our day is every day. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. I say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you. Have an awesome 6 days of labor ahead, and enjoy your Shabbat.
Yes, Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Don't forget to send me the recording, because I had a couple of breaks in mine because I lost the connection. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and Baruch Hashem, Todah. Thank you for coming in, those who came in. And I re-emphasize my point. There is no point just listening in through one ear and out the other. If you're going to be here, then you must execute. Application. Application of knowledge is what makes a successful people. Successful people are from application and execution. Discipline is what's going to get you there. Okay, discipline is your route. Okay, have a great Shabbat. Have a great day. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom. If you wish to support our work, you can go to www.forever-israel.com or www.abrahamic-faith.info, and there is a donate now icon for PayPal, and you can send in a donation of your choice from that particular address. You can also use Cash App, and you can use PayPal directly, and you can send a donation to Shimon63, SHIMOUN63 @yahoo.com, or you can send a donation to $SIMALT with the Cash App. We greatly appreciate your support in this endeavor for us to spread the truth and the correct way for people to better their lives and to serve the God of Israel in their lives. Thank you, and may you be blessed forever. Amen. Amen.